Okay, one more again. I'm back, right back. With this, another story from Atlanta Black Star. As you can see, um, I'll put the link in the description box, of course, but sometimes I forget, but I remember to do it this time. I was reminded a few times in my email, to do that. Shout out to the person who wrote this, Tanasia Kenny. This was published yesterday, January 26, 2018. Article. Sorry, let me turn my air off so it won't be distracting. Um, Shout out to her for writing this article. It's about Erykah Badu, and she made some statements saying that um, she sees good in everyone. The quote is in the article, I think it should be. Um, but O. Jackson Ali did a video about Erykah Badu as well, and it was based on the interview she did where she said that she sees good in everyone, even Hitler. And she didn't know what an anti-Semitic person was until she was called one. So it's funny how these people call you anti-Semitic when they can't even describe what a Semite is. And when you look up the definition and you break down the connotation and denotation of certain words, the denotation of it is a Semite, someone who was half something and half something else, or part something and part something else. So that would make most African Americans Semitic in this country. If you think about it, so-called biracials, Semitic. But they said that she was being anti-Semitic. Now, Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, I have him in high regard and high respect for him. And he has been called an anti-Semitic person in the past and currently as well. He was on an interview with Mike, whatever his last name is. Y'all can look it up. I think it was a 60 Minutes interview he did in the 90s maybe. And he gave him that work. In so many words, to put it short. He gave him that work. He brought fire and brimstone down on his ass in words. And that's one reason why I have so much respect for Minister Louis Farrakhan, because he can break you down with words, history. He does it in a unapologetic, unadulterated fashion. And people are afraid of that, particularly when it comes from a black man who knows where he's from and knows what he's about and knows what he is doing. And he has a following behind him, which makes it even worse for them. Because he said many times, people fear what they don't know. And that's a long running quote, long running mantra, that human beings fear what they don't know, because most humans are ignorant. In this case, when you talk about white supremacy, which he does talk about a lot, if you watch his Savior's Day commentary, his sermons, his speeches, he does talk about white supremacy. He may not use the words, but he does talk about it. He talked about it somewhat during the Million Man March, first and second time. And I have a lot of respect for him. But he offered maybe some words of support to her, because he recognizes that if you're non-white, you're a victim of white supremacy. And to beat up on someone who is also a non-white black person as a victim of the system is not right. Giving critical analysis and giving constructive criticism is different than beating down on somebody, especially if you know they're not a coon. And I don't think Erykah Badu is a coon. Now, she done made some mistakes in her life, having all these kids out of wedlock and doing a lot of questionable stuff. That untitled or uncut video, I can't with that. But that's not a reason to beat down on a woman for things that she has said without giving the proper context and without giving a constructive analysis of it. So this is getting to this article. I'm gonna work on my cussing. I'm trying not to cuss. So I'm gonna really try not to cuss on behalf of Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. In his regard, I'm going to work on not doing that today. He is an elder, and I'm gonna work on not doing that for him in this article. So the title of the article is, Did Minister Farrakhan offer words of support to Erykah Badu after her Vulture interview? Singer Erykah Badu is finally getting some love after an interview earlier this week, after she received a slew of negative comments for refusing to dial back her praise for alleged anti-Semite Minister Louis Farrakhan and Nazi Germany leader Adolf Hitler. Now, how you gonna put Minister Louis Farrakhan and Adolf Hitler's name in the same sentence? That's already a question right there. What's your name? Tanasia Kinney? I'm gonna have to look you up, honey. Tanasia, that ain't a white girl. Or Tanasia, whatever. That ain't no white girl. But I'm gonna look you up, honey, because I'm gonna go ahead. That's some bullshit. Now that might be my only cuss word, but that's yeah. You don't do that, heifer. Erykah Badu said, "I'm not an anti-Semitic person." She was addressing her previous defense of the Nation of Islam founder. "I don't even know what anti-Semitic was before I was called it. I'm a humanist. I see good in everybody. I saw something good in Hitler." The R&B crooner's initial comments came during a 2008 interview with Israeli newspaper Haaretz, where she defended Farrakhan against alleged allegations that he was anti-Semitic. The minister has also been heavily denounced by the likes of Representative Keith Ellison, Democrat of Minnesota, who is also Muslim, and the Jewish-run Anti-Defamation League in the past, who does nothing for black people, by the way. This ADL, they do nothing for black people or Muslims. The former was a previous supporter of Farrakhan, but was also forced to retract his words to move his political career forward. Okay, so we see what you're about. Badu's comments were rehashed during a recent interview with Vulture, where she didn't back down from her defense of Farrakhan, a move the minister seemingly acknowledged with a tweet on Thursday. And here's the tweet from Minister Farrakhan. He said, "When God calls upon you to introduce a revolutionary concept or idea, that takes the struggle to a new level. Then you have to bear the burden of the opposition." Those are strong words. And then they repeated it here. Badu has since tried to clarify her controversial comments, sharing a series of posts to her Twitter page late Thursday. In one of her tweets, the Tyrone singer said she understood how my good intent was misconstrued as bad after she used one of the worst examples possible to make her point. Quote, "Voicing honest opinions, even if they are meant to be loving, in such a sensitive world where most of us are victims of some violent past, is very dangerous," she tweeted in a follow-up post. "Even encouraging words can be misinterpreted when taken out of context. Protect one another." So there was something else she said, and they put the ellipsis and then put protect one another. So you can go to Twitter to see the whole thing on her page, I'm sure. However, some critics have argued that the songstress was bullied into changing her favorable opinion of the NOI, Nation of Islam leader. And they must have meant good for her. One user wrote, "Don't be bullied into an apology if you don't mean it. I don't care for Farrakhan, but he has a right to express himself, and I in turn ignore him." All right. Another person said, "I admire Miss Badu for remaining true to her beliefs." Another person wrote, "It's just sad to live in a country who says one thing but practice another. Freedom of speech. When she exercised hers, she was blackballed for it. This country practices double standards. Say what we want to hear or suffer the consequences." Moreover, critics highlighted the fact that black political figures and entertainers are often forced to distance themselves from people like Farrakhan. Earlier this week, the Congressional Black Caucus was accused of trying to bury a 2005 picture of then Senator Barack Obama and Minister Farrakhan. And I remember him talking about how then Senator Barack Hussein Obama was in Chicago, and he came to his home and he spoke with him. He sat and he spoke with him for some time. And he told him he was running, and that was his way of showing respect to Minister Louis Farrakhan. At least that's how he took it. He said he took it. But he told him, I'm not going to be able to outwardly, publicly be in support of you. I will support you as my brother. But I don't want you to have me supporting you publicly and that cause you to lose face with those out there who don't agree with me, because you will lose if I'm there. You will lose if they see me with you. And that took a lot of courage and a lot of self-awareness and awareness of society to say that to him. And then he said, Senator Barack Obama, said thank you, thank you for your blessing. Thank you for allowing me to come speak with you. And he soon left. And from then on, he said it was like a rocket ship, basically, just taking off. And we saw him in the presidency. It goes on to say, photojournalist Askia Muhammad told Treese Edney Newswire he believes the photo, quote, absolutely would have made a difference in the 2008 presidential election. Well, there you go. Had the Congressional Black Caucus not pressured him to keep it under wraps. Reverend, it says white folks don't have to denounce Donald Trump, David Duke, and neo-Nazis. One Facebook user wrote, right, because they agree with them. Coming to Badu's defense, but they expect black folks to denounce Farrakhan, Reverend Jeremiah Wright, etc. Farrakhan has yet to address the singer's comments directly. I hope he does address her comments directly, because it would show that he is engaged. We know that he's engaged, but it would show on a public level that he is engaged with what young black people are thinking, and it would engage a conversation. Maybe she needs clarity on some things. Maybe he needs to be aware of things that black people are thinking about and talking about. So I think it would go the former where she would get more knowledge from him as a black woman in this society, getting knowledge from a black man of such esteem that has come to such a great level of respect from people that are younger than her and older than her. So I hope that she humbles herself and sits at the feet of Minister Louis Farrakhan and listens to what he has to say. Even if she don't agree with everything. I don't agree with everything my mama say, my daddy say, my grandmama, my aunts, uncles, people older than me, my boss, like whoever I respect. I don't ever have to agree with everything they say, but I listen to what they say, especially my grandma. She's 90 years old. There's nothing she can tell me that will make me say, oh, that's some bullshit, whatever. Nothing she can tell me. Because she has lived, she was born 1927. She was 2 years old when we had the crash, the Great Depression. So she'd been through a bunch of wars. The only war she didn't experience, only 2 wars she didn't experience in this country, 3 I should say, was the American Revolution, the Civil War, and World War One. Those are the only 3 wars in this country that were on a national level that she did not experience. Every other war after that she has experienced, literally lived through. And lived through the hard times, lived through the good times, lived through the civil rights movement, the civil rights movement we got going on right now, living now. So anything she tells me, and I'm not putting my grandma on the same level as Minister Louis Farrakhan, never. I never do that. But I'm saying in regards to, in general, when you are coming from a place of humility as a younger person, you have to listen to your elders. And you may not agree, but you can have an exchange of ideas and concepts where you can come to a compromise, or you can come to new ideas and new concepts. So I hope that she is open to that. There's a reason why Erykah Badu ain't married. Okay? There's a reason why every dude she with, I remember Freeze Love saying this on Corey Holcomb 5150. Shout out to them. Freeze Love said, Darlene said she saw Erykah Badu at a concert or something after an award show, and Freeze Love was like, I bet you the dudes with her had on crochet pants. There's a reason why they had them videos, the memes of what a dude looked like before, after he with Erykah Badu. You know, she a little twisted, right? We know that. But there's also a potential way, there's also a way to potentially not save her from herself, but to teach her something. Maybe there's things that she didn't get as a younger person that she could pass down to her own children. So these people have comments here. I don't this one person making 2 comments. I think there's one more comment here. Let me see if it'll load. Well, that's it. So this one person, there's 3 comments, but only one person made a comment. They just saying, Nzinga Shabaka said, is that all that hair on her head? Oh, please. Then they said, I think black can't ignore Erykah Badu because she go around making statements and not knowing what she's talking about, especially saying she likes Hitler. I'm sure the Jews hates her. Okay, yeah, you need to work on their grammar. I'm sure the Jews hate her with a passion. Hitler killed millions of Jews and he hated Africans. Oh, please. So did the Jews. Last time I checked, if you believe the Bible, which is kind of questionable, but if you believe the Bible, the Jews killed Jesus. So they done had a long history of killing, if you believe the Bible. And they were involved in killing Africans before the so-called German Third Reich and the Nazi regime, the SS. They killed hundreds of thousands, probably millions of Africans prior to what happened in Germany when they got thrown in the ovens. And now they turn around and oppress, because they can consider themselves white now. They turn around and oppress the people who've been oppressed. So they can kick rocks with that. Like I said in the other video, hold your own nuts on that. Y'all Jew. That's why they call y'all Jewish, because you a kind of Jew. Okay, Jewish, not Jew. You're not Hebrew. You're Jewish. So let me go back up to the top. I hope you all have comments. Please like, comment, subscribe. And I'll see you all in the next video. Maybe I'll do a follow-up to this. I'm not sure how I feel about it yet. I'll have to see what transpires from this. But you all have a good day, and I'll come back to you later. Bye.